Hey, happy Monday! Welcome to the live edition of Liberate and Love Your Authentic Self. I'm Dr. Andrea here. How was your weekend? How are you on this lovely Monday? I hope that you are feeling well and doing amazing in your life. I had a pretty intense weekend. I hosted some people here in my home for the, hello, Faida. I hosted people here for the Stories with Soul life writing workshop. And this was a workshop designed to help authors and would-be authors learn how to bring the stories out of their life and their experience and turn them into a chapter in a book or a TED Talk or some keynote speech. And it's funny because people don't believe me when I say that the work I do helping people develop their personal brand or their messages for the world, they are truly transformational. And I just think people think that it must be, oh, it's branding, it's marketing, it's just, fluff or I don't know, just marketing, just business. And I'm like, nope. This stuff is deeply, deeply, deeply transformational. And this weekend was transformational. But not just for the people that came, but for me too. And I wanted to talk about how to break free from toxic relationships. And thank you, Faida. I'm glad that seeing me is somehow bringing you hope. Bringing you some kind of rain, sunshine from the rain. Because right now it's kind of rainy here in France. And I was feeling kind of gloomy and a little bit tired because I was really, really giving my all. As you can imagine, I probably do. It has been a really intense few days. And I almost wanted to bail on today's live because teaching over the weekend and yesterday, if you saw the little live version I did on my personal profile page, I even went to the beach and had the lovely Solveig with me and her beautiful daughter Karin. So my daughter and I and Solveig and Karin went down to the beach in Cannes so that we could soak up some sun for them because where they live in Iceland is a lot colder and not quite as sunny. So we had an actually beautiful day and ended up shooting some yoga poses. Not me, but our daughters were there in their bikinis by the sea doing yoga for the Solir Yoga Challenge. So every year at Solveig's spa up in, I keep calling it a spa, her studio, her yoga studio in Iceland, they actually do a yoga challenge where each of the teachers gets to post some of these asanas or yoga poses. And the girls did an amazing job. So proud of our little angels. But it was interesting having everyone here doing the Stories with Soul workshop. How many of you out there have ever heard of the hero's journey? If you're a writer, if you're a movie buff, if you've ever studied screenwriting or film, then you've probably heard of Joseph Campbell. He's a guy who wrote a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And if you analyze any great novel or any great Hollywood blockbuster movie, from Titanic to The Matrix to even Cinderella, you'll see that they follow this very predictable structure. And it's not predictable in a way that's boring, it's just the way that stories and fables and tales have been told throughout our history as human beings. So I teach Stories with Soul in a way that I show people how to use the hero's journey to evaluate their own life stories, because you've probably heard it somewhere before. You are the hero of your life. And that's what we found out this weekend. So if you know anyone who has maybe been the victim in their life a lot, and they need to shift into becoming the hero, would you share this video with them so that we can hopefully shed a little light on, I don't know, how you might reclaim your power? And as two of the participants this weekend said, to write, your happy ending. Dun, dun, dun. So anybody out there, have you been, have you heard of this, the hero's journey? Tell me, I want to know. It's good to see Jill, Dr. Jill Stocker, the juicy hormone doctor in California, and Ron, you as well out there in Southern Cali. Thank you for saying that you're enjoying my pursuit for excellence. That's right, no longer pursuing perfection, just pursuing excellence. And to my brother, Gerald Pennington, what's up, G? Good to see you here. So this idea that we can lose our ish, as some of us would say, where we literally somehow, some way lose our ability to think straight when we get into relationships. So I don't know if anyone out there has had this experience where your brain gets hijacked, like you meet this other person, and some of us might say, oh, this is my soulmate, my twin flame, my twin soul. And we feel this strong, intense attraction, and it feels like we're being pulled together from across the universe or across the room. And it feels like this really strong pull. Well, that's sign number one that there's something going on. Could be good, could be bad, don't know. But here's the thing. Many people in the world of spiritual relationship coaching, they say that being connected with your soulmate is not always a positive experience. It means if your souls have traveled in multiple lifetimes together, y'all might have some unfinished business. Like you might have smacked one and killed one in a past life, and you were the mother and you were the son, and all sorts of weird combinations. So just because your souls feel this attraction and this resonance and this pull doesn't necessarily mean that you're being joined together for holy matrimony forevermore. It might be that you're here to finally close out some previous chapters and close out some previous drama and karma. So what happens when we get so pulled and drawn into relationship? Well, I often share the work of the wonderful Helen Fisher, who has a couple of great TED Talks, and she's written books, Why Him, Why Her, and she talks about how our brains literally get hijacked. When we fall in love, the brain chemistry of a person in love is almost like they've just snorted some cocaine. We get that euphoric high, that burst of dopamine that makes us feel like this is the one. I feel so happy and elated. And we have all these other brain chemicals that come online, from the oxytocin, from the bonding and cuddling that makes us feel like, oh, I just want to stay cuddled up with this person, right? And so we experience that. And then, of course, if you're intimate, and we know that with orgasm, you're going to have even more of this oxytocin and serotonin bursting where you really feel that euphoria and you think, yeah, I want to keep getting more of that. But it's funny because something happens in the mind, the brain of an addict, just like the brain of someone in love. And it hijacks your rational brain center. Now, why is that important? Because when we're emotional, we make some dumb decisions. Oh, you don't? You never do? It's just me. Oh, I see. It's just me and my clients. I just attract the crazies, right? That's what it is. Just us that just lose our minds. No, but for real, it does happen that when the brain is hijacked and bathed in PEA, that phenylethylamine, which is that ooey gooey love hormone that our brains naturally make. It's natural. But you can also get that burst from chocolate. Some studies have shown that MDMA produces that as well. So in other words, our brains make the chemicals that make us overlook the glaring signs that this person might be bad for us. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been in a relationship where you forgave in advance all of the bad things. You overlooked all of those habits of being sloppy, coming late to things, not even showing up to things, acting rude, talking about your friends, talking about your family members, or trying to prevent you from doing whatever, trying to prevent you from living your dreams, starting your company, going out with your peeps to hang out. Like, some people, when they're in that hijacked brain state, they overlook and forgive them. And I love the way that Helen Fisher described it. It's just like, you know, when that part of the brain, thank you, Jill, for admitting I'm not alone. No, it's not just you, girlfriend. But with awareness comes the awakening, right? But the way that Helen Fisher described the brain in love, and how when that dopamine is kicked in, we get locked on into the pursuit. And it's much easier for us to overlook or forgive or just deny the existence of these traits in our potential beloved that we probably should be paying attention to. So why is that? Why would our brain, why would Mother Nature or God or Source create a brain that could actually overlook things that are so detrimental to us? Have you ever wondered that? I don't know, but I have. I've wondered, especially when I've gotten out of a relationship that clearly I had no business in, and gee, don't say anything. I walk around kicking myself, saying, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? And Romeo, I know that you know this very well. He's an expert in helping people deal with toxic relationships. We literally, once you snap out of it and you like, quote unquote, come to your senses, or once you are in your right mind, as we say, once you are finally seeing clear, thank you, G, zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. When you finally see clearly, you're like, was I dumb? Was I high? Like, some people don't even recognize the manipulation that these people have sometimes taken advantage of our kindness, taken advantage of our, I don't know, I won't say weakness, but sometimes we're vulnerable. And I'm not saying that everybody's out to be evil in relationships, but there are some narcissists out there that are clearly manipulative, and they don't recognize so much that they're going to go out and do this, but they can see in other people the weaknesses and these opportunities to insinuate themselves and take this control. So whether your toxic relationship is with love, with alcohol, with too much chocolate or too much ice cream or whatever, I want you to think about the idea of control. And I know that doesn't sound very fun, especially when it comes to love, because most people, when they feel like they're falling in love, they don't want to be in control. They don't want to sit there and have to think about every little thing. You want to be able to surrender and be in this divine flow, this exchange of energy and love. But I would say to you, if you look back over your life, and again, this is what we do in storytelling, we ask you to look over your life for the patterns. Look and see what little obstacles you frequently encounter and trip up on. What are the characters that are frequently showing up in your life? Jill says, narcissist magnet. Okay, so jump in right there, looking over your life and trying to figure out, why do I attract narcissists? Even better still, who am I being such that I attract narcissists? Or who are they being such that I feel attracted to them? Because straight up, y'all, this is where we do need to have a modicum of control. See you, G. What's up, Allison? Nice to have you here. David, thank you for the lovely food over the weekend. So I was just talking about this idea of looking at your life as a hero. So over the weekend, when we were taking people through a timeline of their life, and choosing to break down one story as part of this workshop. Many of these people are contributing a story to my next book, Time to Rise. It was wonderful because we had the beautiful Yvette Taylor here, Joe Simpson came from the UK, Solveig came from Iceland, and Dr. Janet Anthony, who is a confirmed contributing author, she got up in the middle of the night to be on here. And as did Gegga, the creator of Smiler in this beautiful painting back here. She was on from Iceland. And when we started to really look at these stories and look at these themes, we started to see how we could take back our power and become the hero of our stories. The lovely Mariana Popovic was also on with us from the UK. And it's fun because when you start to look at people's lives today and you really dissect, how did you get here? And why do you feel like now is your time to rise? Why are you claiming your power and rising up? And there were a number of stories. There are a lot of different themes that you'll find in the book. But this idea of relationships, and especially toxic relationships, was definitely something that resonated with all of us. Yeah, relationships. They can be wonderful learning experiences. I'll leave it at that. But one of the things that was interesting in talking to some people was just understanding that when you have that light bulb moment, when you see clearly that a potential partner or the partner you're with does not have your best interest at heart, what do? How many of you out there have a good friend that you can call on who would actually tell you the truth? I mean, who would give it to you straight, like, girl, I know you think he fly and all that, but haven't you noticed how he does this and this and this, and how he doesn't do this and this and this? Like, do you have anyone who could be that honest with you? And if your toxic relationship was with drugs or alcohol, do you have a friend that you trust and listen to? Someone that if they said, honey, you know what? I kind of noticed that you're leaning on that vodka tonic a little hard. Or, wow, this is weekend after weekend that I see you doing the same thing. I'd like to hear from you. Like, how many of you actually have a friend, A, that would give it to you straight, no chaser, and 2, that you would actually listen to? I'm hoping that this book is going to help, shed some light on the patterns that we often don't see when our brain is overrun with chemicals because we're in a toxic relationship. Like spotting a narcissist, spotting that codependent behavior, or spotting when you get triggered. I know that if I'm ever all geeked up in love and just floating on a cloud, I've been triggered. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I know it's one of my triggers. Recognizing the patterns is the first step to you being able to take back your control. And then you can consciously choose to be in that relationship or not, to cut those ties or not, but most importantly, to recognize that you deserve to have a healthy, happy relationship based on freedom, where you freely choose to be with that person or that environment, not feeling like you're forced or drawn or sucked into it out of obligation. I mean, how many people feel like they are obligated to try to save their partner? Like, we've all had a friend or family member like that, right? This person who just says, oh, but you should have seen the one good thing they did last weekend. They're a really great person, and I just know if I stick it out, yeah, they're gonna change. Honey, they ain't gonna change. Nobody changes for anybody else. Not in these drastic ways. We change because we have come to a decision to make a change. Or I should say it this way. What you really want is not change. You want transformation. Because if a person is a, wife beater, or, some other abusive, angry person who has outbursts, if they change for you, it's temporary. That means they can change back. Who knows what might trigger them? What we're looking for, ultimately, is transformation, where you literally become a new being. And that's one of the things that happened this weekend. Like, I saw it happen before my eyes and heard people telling me, like, I am no longer that person. So in the hero's journey, as described by Joseph Campbell, our hero starts off in the ordinary world, whatever that normal day in the life of, which could be good, could be bad. But eventually, they hit a point of no return where they've gone into this adventure seeking some outer goal, but they get transformed from the inside and literally become a new person, such that they could never go back to their old way of life. And that's ultimately what life is about. It's about transformation. It's about transforming into your true essence, the true, real, authentic you. Not the you that you've been programmed, molded, shaped, folded, or contorted to be, but indeed the real you that without any mask, without any outer covering, it's your true essence. So, when you meet someone where you can see them at their essence and they see you at your spiritual essence, and there's still this desire to love with an open heart, not with this clutching, I must own you, then you might be onto something really magical. So, what have you done in your life to break free from toxic relationships? What tips and tools do you have? Anything you want to share with this community? Type it in. I want to know, because it's fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating. Hello to Nana, Shakil, Nino, Candace, Rhiannon. Wonderful to have some new peeps up in the house. So yeah, I want you to share your ideas, because I don't think this book, Time to Rise, is going to be all about relationships. Well, I know it's not. There have been a number of authors who've joined who are not in the relationship space. But to be honest, everything that we experience in life is about our relationship with ourselves. Like, ultimately, who do you say you are, and what do you say is your right? What do you have the right to claim? Do you have the right to claim your space and your boundaries? And how do you emphasize or enforce your boundaries? This is one that I'm always curious about. Like, when I was saying that when the brain gets hijacked and we start to forgive and allow our love interest to do all kinds of stuff, we relax our standards and lower our boundaries. And gradually we see people stepping over those boundaries and doing all kinds of stuff. And so one of the things I recommend is identifying, what are your standards for a relationship? What are they? And I was so inspired by Dr. Janet Anthony, who shared this weekend in the workshop. She was like, this is one of my boundaries, and it's about time. And so, bravo, Janet. Don't worry, I ain't going to tell you business. But I love how she said, look, my time is valuable and precious. And the one thing I do not want somebody in a relationship doing is disrespecting my time. Which means if you say you're going to be somewhere, you show up on time. If you say you're going to call, then you do just that. You call on time. And if you're going to be late, you call to let us know, rather than disrespecting my time. And that's a big one for me. It really is. So it was really cool to hear her say that she had articulated that, but not just for herself. She actually told it to a person. And when he violated it, well, I'll let her tell what happened next. But this idea of really being able to first get clear about your standards in a relationship, your boundaries, and then being able to enforce them. Because if you give away your power enough times, and that other substance, whether that's a person or a drug, just keeps wearing down your defenses, that's when your power gets taken away. And you keep reinforcing those old programs in the brain that make you think you're weak, that make you think you need them, that make you think that you can't voice or that you don't deserve your high standard. But the opposite is also true. The more that you exert your voice and assert yourself, the more you're going to kick in to the part of you that is truth, the part of you that knows that you deserve to be treated well. And that is going to raise up and rise up and rise up. So Jill says, it's interesting to see when you've transformed that the people that once kept you small, that you allowed to keep you small, continue to try to make you small and laugh at your transformation. I say let them laugh. Fools, let them laugh. Because one day they're going to be knocking on your door like, so, hey Jill, so you know what I just want to know, how did you actually do that? Because I'm dealing with, like, I had a conversation with somebody else today, and we were talking about just that the people that are like, no, who do you think you are? And look what you're doing, and whatever. They're the very ones that, whether it's a month later or 10 years later, oftentimes come back, and they're like, oh wow, oh my gosh, I'm so inspired by what you've done. Like, how did you do that? And you're thinking, where were you when it was blood, sweat, and tears and you were kicking me while I was down or criticizing me? It happens a lot. And yeah. So I say, Jill, let them talk. But you're not going to stay small. Because you're here, my darling. You are part of this empowered community of kick-ass people who are committed to their heart and their spiritual development. And we will not settle for anything less than your authentic kick-ass best. Whew, dang, now I'm fired up. All right, y'all. Anyway, this is just me on a Monday at 3:30 in the afternoon here in the south of France. Anyway, I love it because this is good stuff. I actually left this weekend feeling more inspired by the work that I do and the depth to which I get to work with clients. I was telling somebody earlier that you might look on the surface and say, oh, you're a radio host, you're in branding and marketing. It's all exterior stuff. Nuh-uh, not what I do. It's deeply transformational stuff. When you first claim your true identity, letting go of all the other stuff and only clinging to what is true, and then you express your truth, whether that's in a book or on the radio or on TV or on stage, you make a commitment to your true self that is transformational. And to be a witness to that is so humbling. I honor and thank all of my beautiful clients and students and mentees for letting me have the privilege of facilitating that. Because I don't do the magic. Y'all do the hard work. You know? It's like I kind of point the way. I give you the lessons in my little lesson plan, especially because I'm a student of life. I've had enough of my drama to know that there's a better way. And studying the meditation and Buddhism and now a little bit of yoga here and there and looking into these deeper mystical traditions of how to really live. I love sharing it. So that's what I'm here to pass on to you. If you have any questions, will you type it into the chat? Because I would love to connect. Yeah, that's deep, says Candace. Yes, Candace Marie. Deep, baby. Yes, I do see it, Ron. I do see that I am empowering lives. And you know who else saw that this weekend, Ron? My daughter. We were kind of having a debrief yesterday because, you know, having people in your home, my VIP clients, they actually can be in my home. I don't always tell people that because, I don't know, it's my personal space. But sometimes when you are doing a long workshop or deep work like we're doing in October, Dr. Jill is coming for that, the Roots of Purpose retreat, you want to be in a comfy, cozy space where you can like relax, release, and recharge. And as I was talking to my daughter last night, and we were kind of just like having a debrief of these 2 days, I said, wow, look at all the transformation. It was, I don't know, it was transformational. And we started looking at some of the different stories and the different realizations. And I said, wow, this is so amazing. it's hard to believe that this is my job, right? Because most people think of a job as, this boring thing that you do for most of the day and then you get to escape. And she said, wow, Mom, isn't it cool that your job is about helping people and helping the planet? I was like, she got it. She knows what I'm up to, which is so helpful, especially as a single mom where she travels around the world with me. It's like I was talking about Mariana Popovic in the UK and meeting her beautiful daughter Tara at the Expert Empires. It's like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be a global speaker. The baby's coming. And that's what Sienna has seen since she was 2 weeks old when we went to her auntie's wedding. So it's like, it's beautiful for her to see that and recognize that you can actually have a life helping people, making a meaningful contribution. And it can actually be fun, using your strengths. I love this stuff. I love my job. I love my life. So Jill says, I want to contribute to your book, but I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to shut up and I'd hijack the entire book with all your stories. Girlfriend, bring it on. It's time. It is time for you to share a story. And Gisli, thank you for your kind comments and all of your emails. I've been busy. No time to respond to those. But you have inspired me with your story of how you have overcome cancer. And he's actually created a company with a phenomenal health product to help other people not only recover from cancer, but even grow some hair. But it's a busy life, but it's a good life. And I'm really grateful that I'm connected to some beautiful people around the world. So I look forward to bringing you more of their stories, more of their light. Because there's not just one way to live a kick-ass life. There's not just one religion to get you to the hereafter. There are multiple pathways that all lead to, what did Sol call it this weekend? Solveig called it, I think, infinite truth. That, her journey from being this kick-ass stockbroker working in finance in her black Prada suits to embracing the yoga lifestyle, what she's noticed with Ayurveda and with all the various yoga practices and all of these things, and now looking at nature genetics and understanding how our connection to nature is. It's all divine wisdom. There are different ways to get there, but each of these ancient systems from, the shamans around the world that we study with and whatnot, when you get to look at all of these cultural approaches to living well and living your truth, it's really phenomenal that they are infinite truths. And so if we can show different faces, different examples of how people have overcome conformity, going along with the flow and instead swimming upstream, then we can really empower people to break free to live as their authentic self. And most importantly, to know that they're not alone, that you're not crazy just because you have spiritual dreams and hear voices, or that you can do healing from a distance or whatever. You're not alone and you're not a freak, you're not a weirdo. And just because your family couldn't understand it doesn't mean that you need to shut it off. You can still embrace your truth and live your truth. And now you're connected to another community, another family around the world. And you might just find that your family comes back around anyway. And that's what so many people have found, that when they stayed true to their vision, their calling, living as a holistic practitioner or a healer or a coach, that some points along the journey of their family, the people that may have even criticized them and not supported them and wanted to disown them, they came back around, either because they needed something, they needed their own healing, or they needed insight, or they had their own awakening and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was dogging you out for being a vegan. Now I'm vegan. So don't hate on them, just love that everybody gets to the beach when they get to the beach, in the words of one of my other co-authors from the book Heart to Heart, Tracy I can't even pronounce her Hawaiian last name. I'm not going to go there. So Grazia Ruggieri, how can I understand clearly if the pattern with my husband is finished, or is it a trial of life for like a force of transformation, forza? Well, you have to go deep, Grazia. I would say go deep first within yourself and look at any other times in this lifetime, or find a great practitioner who can help you look at past lifetimes to see, is there a pattern? If there's something going on between you and the way you're relating to your husband, if it's not the joy and the flow and the ease and the happiness that you want, what is it? Is it something in you, something in him? Is this a pattern that you've lived out many times over? And bring the awareness of yourself and what contribution you're bringing to the table, because we all have a part. We all play a part. Not blame, I'm saying you play a part. And then also look at what he's bringing to the table. And then are you willing, both of you, to be open, honest, and sincere about what's in front of you? And talking to a therapist or a relationship coach about these patterns. If you're looking first in yourself and looking over your life to see, what is this pattern trying to tell me? And ask Spirit. Ask. God, Spirit, angels, whatever. What am I supposed to see here? What do I really need to see? What is the truth? And can your partner do that as well? Can you guys both come at it from the angle of truth? So, for a transformation. So that's my thinking on that. Yes, Ron, compassion is actually a muscle that I have built up over these years, especially as I dug into it deeper and deeper on my Buddhist path. Understanding that the hang-ups that I have are often the hang-ups that people around me have. And if I can be compassionate, if I can see that we have a shared humanity, that we're all just trying to be happy and feel whole, it makes it so much easier for me to really empathize with people. Now, of course, I'm an empath. I pick up on the energy of people. But early on in my life, I had to learn that you can't help everybody. Like, I used to be a rescuer, jump in, save everybody, typical kind of codependent pattern of, trying to do too much. Who hasn't, right? But I recognized that you can't save everybody. Sometimes people are, I won't say they're beyond saving, but they might be beyond saving right then and there. And this is what I've seen a lot as I started helping people with addiction and eating disorders and that sort of stuff. I didn't know you were an empath, Ron. Okay, so I get it. You get it. Well, that's one of the things. It's about really recognizing that at that point in their development, they just might not be ready. I don't say that people can't be saved. But it ain't up to us to go and try and rescue that alcoholic or that abusive person. It's like, you know what? Send them love and compassion. Pray that they get the awakening that they need. But you don't need it to drag you down. Anyway, I'm not here to preach. So my friends, it's 3:44. I'm trying to commit to not being on here for an hour or an hour and 20 minutes. I think my longest Facebook Live was like almost an hour and a half. I don't know how that happens. But if you have questions, of course, type it in. But yeah. So Jill says, that started when you were a child, that you used to bring home stray birds, dogs, and even other kids in the neighborhood to be saved. Well, that's sweet. Well, I would say keep saving the dogs and the birds. The other humans, well, you got to use discretion in that regard. But yeah, it's a strong pattern for you, Jill, because that's your essence. Your essence is to heal and to help and to nurture. But as all of us learn eventually, it's just about having those boundaries so that we don't get pulled down. Because if we're ultimately believing that we came to this planet with a mission to heal or help or nurture or teach, then if we end up dead in the process, how likely are we to fulfill our mission? So anyway, that was another thing that Sienna said over the weekend that just kind of blew my mind. She was talking about helping somebody. And I said, oh, that's really sweet of you. And, I commended her for going out of her way to help. And she said, yeah, but then I realized that there was not much else I could do for them. And I was like, how did you realize that? She's like, well, I could just tell that they weren't willing to make certain changes, and I had to think of me. And I said, what did you mean you had to think of you? She's like, well, I could burn myself out trying, but they weren't going to hear it. they weren't going to make any change. And she's like, so I care about them, but I also care about me. And I was like, oh, she got it at such an early age. Most of us, myself included, will like burn the F out, you know, trying to rescue and heal and save others, especially like my spiritual entrepreneurs, right? Y'all know, I don't even need to tell you. Y'all know you will put so much money into your business trying to rescue and resuscitate it that you drain yourself. And you have to be able to think about yourself. Oh boy, I didn't come to preach, y'all, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, my friends, just know that I am sending you tons of love and tons of support from the south of France. And all the people in my little world are doing just the same. So like, you are not alone. You are supported. You are connected. You are tuned in to a vibration of support and love. And yes, some humor. You know, some of the peeps come in and drop little jokes every now and then. And yes, Ron says, don't throw yourself underneath buses in relationships. Nope. That's what we're all about. We're all about the awareness, the wisdom. And yeah, sometimes you gotta laugh at yourself and thank the universe for the synchronicities and the way that you come to your realizations, so that hopefully, just hopefully, you don't wallow in it for too long. As one of my spiritual mentors told me, she said, okay, you can have a pity party for 37 seconds, then get up and get on with it. So get your lesson, have your pity party, express those emotions, because you know what happens if we repress, it will just go inward and can start to wreak havoc on our body and our mind. But it's important for us to get it out and then get on with life. And Miss Lachey, is it Shamikia? You'll have to tell me. Yes, the book Codependent No More, or Codependency No More. What is that? Is that by Melody? What was her name? Pia Melody was like the great wisdom keeper about all things in codependency and boundaries. Her work was like revolutionary for me. Yeah, and you had to set them with people around you and with yourself. And you would lose yourself in people-pleasing and codependency. Yeah, know that pattern well. Been there, done that. Got the recovery button to show it, yeah. But we can learn, that's the good thing. And it is Shamika. Okay, thank you, darling. Shamika. We can learn, and it is about recognizing those patterns and setting those boundaries so that you can be strong, powerful, empowered, or as the dear Joe Simpson said it, to go from enraged to empowered. So I wish you a fabulous, fabulous week of empowerment, true power, knowing who you are as a spiritual being, with the gift, the gold inside of you, as someone recently said. Like, find that within you and know that you deserve a happy relationship and a feeling of fulfillment in all that you do. I am wrapping you with sparkly love and chi from the south of France. You know how we do with the little fairy dust. And I wish you a fabulous week. I'll see you back here on Facebook, probably on Wednesday. If not, definitely on Friday at 3 o'clock Central European time. And yeah, lots of love to you. Much love. Bye.